Alright, it's Henry again, and this is going to be my work in progress video for the HGUC Gouf Revive version. And this is going to be a quick project. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. I'm not doing any modifications or anything, but I'm going to do a custom color scheme. So, at this point I've actually already kind of started painting. Move this out of the way. I've painted like the stuff that's going to remain the same colors, the gray parts for the joints, the black parts for the feet and the chest, and then the handles to the heat sabers. The custom color scheme is going to be on the blue parts. And I've wanted to do a camouflage Gouf for a long time now, and I figured this will be a good opportunity to do it. And I've done digital camo before, but I've never done cloud camouflage before, and that's what I really want to do with this. So this will be a first-time experiment for me. I've gone online and looked at different tutorials and stuff, and there's a ton of different ways you can do cloud camouflage. You can hand paint it, you can use cloud camouflage masking tape, you can cut out your own shapes with the masking tape, you can use sticky tack masking, you can do liquid masking solution, and probably some more that I'm not even remembering right now, but there's definitely no one way to do camouflage on a model kit. But let's see, I have got a bottle of Mr. Masking Sol that I don't use nearly enough, so I'm going to use the liquid masking solution technique for doing my cloud camouflage. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be doing camouflage on the light blue and dark blue parts. And I'm going to kind of have, I'm thinking I'm going to do 3 different colors in my camouflage. And I'll probably do the standard colors on the light blue parts and then just add a little bit of black or brown to those and just do them like a shade darker for the dark blue parts over here. So pretty much the whole Gouf will have camouflage on it, but you'll be able to tell a difference in tone between the lighter and darker parts. So that's the effect I'm going to go for. So first up is I'm going to spray a base coat on all of these, get them primed up, and do a base coat of, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my darkest color first, which is probably going to end up being brown. And then I'll do a little bit of masking with the Mr. Masking Sol, and then do my medium color, which will be a greenish color. It's going to be a green camouflage Gouf. And then do a little bit more masking, and then do my lightest color last. And then after I get all the camouflage painted, I'm going to do a little bit of weathering on them as well. So I'm going to cut here and get to painting. Alright, so I've got my base color. I've basically just used a dark brownish color, and this is going to be my darkest color for the camouflage. So I'm doing it first. Also, when I paint the lighter colors on top of it, this can act as a pre-shading. So I'm taking the Mr. Masking Sol and just doing camouflage patterns. And the good thing about doing cloud camouflage is that you don't have to be terribly precise about it. I mean, you can do, the patterns according to how you think they ought to look, or you could go online and find references. It's up to you. You can make them as complex or as simple as you want. And, I mean, it's kind of like Bob Ross, paint a happy cloud here, happy cloud there. We don't make mistakes, just have happy accidents. But you get the idea. And this stuff dries relatively quickly. Just takes a few minutes to dry. And then once I get all of these shapes put in, I will go in and spray on the second color. And I'm trying, since this is the darkest color that I've sprayed on first, I don't want it to really be overwhelmed by the dark. So I'm trying not to put too awfully much of this. In fact, I think this little bit right here will probably be the last of it, and that'll be all for the dark brown. And at this point, once this dries, I can go on and spray the next lightest shade of the camouflage color. Okay, so now that I've got the second color on here, I'm going to once again go on with the Mr. Masking Solution and do the exact same thing as the first time around. Adding my cloud patterns, and this is going to create a multi-layered effect, which I think I'm going to end up doing 4 different colors. So I've already got 2 colors on here now, so I'm halfway done. I'll spray my next color and then do the masking solution one more time and then spray the final color. I kind of gave up on the pre-shading. I realized that trying to do pre-shading and the camouflage at the same time was going to be really difficult. And since I'm going to be doing weathering on this guy anyway, I can just like darken the edges a little bit with some weathering pigments. So I'm not really going to worry about doing pre-shading on this guy. I'm just going to focus on the camouflage. Alright, this is the last application of the masking solution. So this will give me my 4th and final color. And this is the one of the darker torso parts. Because remember, I am doing the torso and shield, well, the inner part of the shield, and a darker camouflage than the rest of the body. So this is the, as soon as I finish this up, I can spray on the last color, and then once everything is dry and cured, I can remove all of the masking fluid. Alright, so now that all of the airbrushing is done, now comes the task of removing the masking fluid. And if I get this out of here, this is what the parts look like at the end. I finished off with the Mr. Color Zaku Green from the Gundam Color series. And as you can see, it's all one color, but you can see all that masking fluid on there. It's kind of lumpy looking. And initially, I've already done a few parts, as you can see. Initially, I was going in with the tweezers and like individually, carefully removing each little bit of masking fluid. Come on, camera, work with me. No, not gonna work with me. And while that worked, it was super tedious, and I found out that a eraser does a beautiful job of getting this masking solution off without damaging the paint job. So you go in and erase, and it's okay to be pretty firm with it, and it's like erasing away all of the masking solution, and just like magic, your camouflage comes out and is revealed. And it's actually pretty cool. And I'm super happy with the way this is turning out for the most part. There are a couple little nitpicks. This Zaku green color that I finished off with, I wish I would have added a little bit of yellow to it. It's kind of a cool green, and I wish it was a little bit more of a warm green, but again, that's just nitpicking. But overall, for my first attempt at doing cloud camo with masking fluid, excuse me, it's turning out really, really nice, I think. And by the time I get all this cleaned up, I think I'm going to have a really cool looking Gouf. That's really the downside of this particular masking technique, is that it's really easy to put the masking fluid on, and it doesn't take very long at all, but getting it off takes a while. Whereas if you were using masking tape and cutting out the cloud shapes with masking tape, it would take a long time to put it on, but then taking it off would be a breeze. So either way, I think it would probably just about equal itself out, depending on time-wise, depending on which technique you used. But either way, I'm happy with these results, and it definitely makes me want to do more camouflage paint jobs in the future. And the eraser is actually a really nice trick. I'm glad I thought of that, because if I'd kept going with the tweezers, I'd probably be doing removing this stuff for like a week. But I'm super happy that it's not damaging the paint job at all, and I'm working with this thing pretty rough. I'm not being gentle with it, because if you're too gentle, then it doesn't really get the masking fluid off. So I'm glad that that Mr. Color is durable enough to stand up to this. So, and even if you go over it with the eraser, you're still going to have to go in with your hands and sort of pull off some little scraps and things of the masking fluid. And I've just been taking a toothbrush and sort of cleaning up all the little bits and pieces and all that stuff. So I've got a lot more of this to do. Haven't even cleaned off half the parts yet. But here's actually an example. Here's the dark camo and the light camo. Come on, side by side. Went ahead and put the shield together, and this is really starting to look cool. I'm very, very happy with how this is turning out. So let me finish this stuff up, and I'll go ahead and do a test fit and take a look at him. Alrighty, so here it is, all snapped together. Haven't started any panel lining or anything yet. I just wanted to go ahead and do a quick test fit just to see how it looked, and I'm really, really pleased with this. Very happy with how this is looking so far. I did go ahead and do decals really quick. I didn't want to do a whole lot of decals because the paint job is so busy already with the camouflage that I didn't want to put a whole bunch of decals. Plus, on top of that, I figured with the camouflage pattern, a lot of the decals would end up getting lost, just visually lost. Also, I'm going to be doing weathering, so that also is probably going to lose some decals. Anyway, so I just did like some really, like the big markings. Like I did some numbers and letters on the shield and a little Xeon symbol. I did a rank on this shoulder. Found a little wasp, hornet, whatever decal, did on the other shoulder. And then I did a serial number on the back, of course, 8259. And that's it. That's all the decals I did. Because I didn't want to put on a whole bunch of decals just for them to be barely noticeable. So anyway, that's done. Next up, I've got some Mr. Weathering color wash stuff. So I'm going to do a filter over the entire kit. This is brown. I want this guy to be kind of dirty and grimy looking, so I'm going to use brown instead of black. And then after that, I'll do some chipping and dry brushing and some Tamiya Weathering Master and stuff like that. Alright, so the filter is on and done, and now I'm actually just finishing up the chipping. I went in and did one round of chipping with a paintbrush, just sort of adding the larger chips along the edges. And now I'm just sort of lightly going in with a small sponge and doing just some like little teeny tiny random chips. Last kit I did, I really kind of got carried away with the sponge. And it was really obvious, like on the kit, that I used the sponge way too much for the chipping, so I'm trying to tone that, excuse me, I'm trying to tone that down and use the sponge less, so I'm just sort of really being as conservative as I can with the sponge for this one. And now that all the chipping is done, I'm going in with the Real Touch markers and just adding some rust effects. I'm using the brown Real Touch marker right now, obviously, for rust. I tried the orange Real Touch marker. It was a little bit too orange, so I'm just sticking with brown. And basically anywhere where I did chipping, I'll go in and do a squiggle with the Real Touch marker and then just dab away the excess and just sort of streak in a downward motion. And that sort of creates that rusty, rain washed over, been sitting out in the field for God knows how long look. And it's a very light touch with the Q-tip, because I want to completely erase the Real Touch marker, just sort of soften it so it's a little bit more realistic. Next step after the Real Touch marker is a little bit of dry brushing. Now, since there's already so much weathering on this already, I'm not doing too awfully much dry brushing, just enough to barely be noticeable. I'm doing kind of a gray dry brushing for like the black parts and the joint parts, and then I'm going to make a light green dry brushing to do on all of the camouflage parts. And finally, last but not least, I'm finishing off with some weathering pigments from the Tamiya Weathering Master set, and basically just dust and dirt around high contact areas like the feet, the bottom of the legs, things like that, knees. And also I've got this other one that's got soot and rust, so I'll probably go in and use the soot around the thrusters on the legs and the backpack, and rust anywhere that I feel needs to be extra rusty. Like I've got the shield pretty weathered, so I'll probably do some of the Weathering Master rust on it. Alrighty, so that's it. Just finished applying the top coat, which means it is time for final assembly. And I am super happy with the way this kit has turned out. I really put like a lot more thought and concentration into the weathering on this kit, and I think that paid off. I used Ed over at 00 Gundam Reviews as inspiration. I looked at some of his kits because his weathering just keeps getting better and better and better, and I sort of looked at some of his stuff for reference when I was doing the weathering on this Gouf. And I'm very happy with the way this thing turned out. Particularly happy with the shield. I think the shield turned out really, really nice. Let's do a little zoom in here. Really happy with that shield. One thing though is I think that I'm going to stop using enamel paint for chipping, because even though I flat coated the entire kit, if you'll notice on the shield, some of the chipping has a slight shine to it. That's the enamel paint. None of the acrylic or the Real Touch marker or the weathering master, any of that is shiny. It's just where I use the enamel paint. So I think from now on for chipping I'll just stick with acrylic just so I don't have that shine. Honestly, if I'd, the enamel paint was done yesterday, so it's about 24 hours old. If I'd let it cure for longer, maybe that shine wouldn't be there, but whatever. Easy solution is to just not use enamel paint. Oh, snap. There is one thing I forgot to do. The mono eye. Let's see, I have got this little sheet of metallic pink stickers. They're all circles of various sizes from HGUC parts, and I was going to use that for the mono eye, and I totally forgot to, so I'm not going to do it here on camera. So for the photo shoot, I'll just add a metallic pink sticker for the mono eye there. So overall, super happy with the way this turned out. I will post a photo gallery and have the link below in the description so you guys can look at it in closer detail. And yeah, I guess that about does it for this work in progress video, and with that, I'll see you guys next time.